What's up, everybody, and welcome to the spoiler review for Tales of the Jedi, this brand new animated series that dropped yesterday on Disney Plus. 6 episodes, about a little 15 minutes or under each episode if you include the credits, but some fantastic stuff to explore in here. 3 episodes dealing with Ahsoka Tano, 3 episodes dealing with Dooku. And basically with Ahsoka Tano, it's visiting her at 3 different points in her life: as a baby, Order 66, and then what happened to her life after Order 66. So some interesting stuff to explore there if you know the Ahsoka Tano story. But the real winner of all of this is Dooku, I think, because we haven't seen much of him on screen before he fell to the dark side. So getting a chance to see 3 episodes of this series that shows his progression from a Jedi who has a strong belief of what should be done versus the rigid ways of the Jedi Council, seeing him slam against the ways of the Jedi Council, you can start to feel some sympathy. Corey Burton does a fantastic job voicing over Dooku again, and the way this show, created by Dave Filoni, of course, who knows both of these characters so well, but the way this show kind of goes on the journey with him and shows you where he's having some conflicts with the Jedi, that his intentions are to do the right thing, but then to see him fall to the dark side, fall to Emperor Palpatine, and be essentially in service of him is something really sad, tragic, and also fascinating to explore and witness here in this series. I absolutely loved it. You know, I liked Star Wars Visions, but it was a bit uneven with some of the episodes, but overall I enjoyed it. But this, I have no complaints about any of the episodes really that we got here. The animation is gorgeous. I like the storytelling in this and the writing in this. I like the visuals of it all. Episode 4 is the standout, of course, having Dooku go up against Yaddle with Palpatine looking on. Really a fantastic episode for sure. But before I get too far ahead, I just want to remind you all to please subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button so you see we're dropping all the content we do here on the Outlaw Nation channel. Head on over to Twitch. Follow me there on Twitch. I'm doing more stuff on Twitch, so come and follow me there. And, of course, the Patreon, patreon.com/John Rocha. So this is a spoiler review one last time. And I'm going to go episode per episode. Not going to take too much time with each episode, but I like to go in chronological order and give you my full thoughts on what I think about each of the episodes for sure. So let's start with the first episode here, and that is Life and Death. This basically focuses on Ahsoka as a young being born in her village there with her mother and her father, and her mother, who is this fierce, tender warrior woman, taking Ahsoka out on one of her hunting missions while her father is there working on stuff in the town. What they encounter here as they go along are lessons about life, lessons about nature, about a commune with nature. So laying the groundwork for some of the teachings that Ahsoka is going to use as her foundation, as her basis, as she becomes a Jedi, and then as she rejects the council, and then as she walks her own path. I think this was all done to kind of lead into Rosario Dawson's story by the end of these 6 episodes, and the 3 episodes specifically that focus on Ahsoka. But here, yeah, we see her mom go out into the woods. They hunt down this deer-like creature. She shoots one of them, walks over, does the killing of the deer in a very respectful way, says some incantation or some respectful words from her language. And then a tiger-like, massive tiger-like creature comes upon Pafti and young Ahsoka, who is essentially, I think, 1 year old, being carried in their version of a Bjorn. And the mom Pafti has to fight off this tiger back and forth until the tiger gets the best of her, or this tiger-like creature gets the best of her, and then goes after Ahsoka. But we see that this is one of the reasons why Ahsoka is so special. Instead of getting eaten by the tiger, she's unafraid of the tiger. And this is something that a lesson that her mom told her earlier in the episode, saying you must face death, not fear it. So she, by not fearing the death, she's able to make she's able to make friends with it, and by extension friends with this tiger. And so we see her father hear the shots, hear the screams. He gathers up a bunch of villagers running down, and by the time they get there and see Pafti on the ground and pick her up, we see Ahsoka come out of the woods riding this tiger-like creature, and we see the kind of difference and respect that they have for each other, because in essence both are predators, that species and the tiger. So it's great to see. That was great to see, and of course this kind of gives you even more feelings about the legend of Ahsoka. Then we move on to episode 2. This one's called Justice. This one is fascinating because it's Dooku and a young Qui-Gon Jinn, voiced by Liam Neeson's son, Michael Richardson. he is doing the voiceover here. So, and he sounds exactly like his father, a younger version of his father. It's really kind of mind-blowing to listen. Kind of like Maya Hawke sounding a lot like a young Uma Thurman. It's kind of weird to kind of hear that and not think that it's Liam Neeson. This is essentially a political story because they come upon a village that is pretty tore up. They talk with a woman who has kidnapped the son of Senator Dagonet, and we see that the son is there, captured by the villagers with his droid. The senator shows up, but before they show up, though, the people who are there tell Dooku and tell Qui-Gon about how this senator has lined his pockets, has really not taken care of the village, has neglected the village in order to make money, these kinds of things. And where have we heard that in our political landscape currently now? A lot of people in towns and villages and states claim that, and cities rather, claim that these senators or state senators or representatives aren't representing them. They're representing themselves to make money off these poor people who work and live in their respective constituencies. So that is kind of coming through here. And I love the political bent of this. And the son himself gets this knowledge and from the other villagers, sees what his father has done to that village, and an extension, his entire rule there, or its entire area that he rules. And so the son is on the side of the rebellious villagers. There is a fight that breaks out, but it's the son who comes up to the father just as Dooku is choking him out. That moment where Dooku decides to choke out the senator, and the son saves the senator, and so does Qui-Gon, and assures the villagers that he will protect them. The son does, and they do not say anything to Dooku, and the guards stay behind to help people. So very interesting stuff going on here between Qui-Gon and Dooku, because when Qui-Gon tries to stop him initially, Dooku sends him against the wall and stuff. So we see that Dooku has a very strong belief of justice, what he thinks justice is, and how to mete out that justice. And you may find yourself on Dooku's side, you may not find yourself on Dooku's side, but either way, it gives you a great idea of how someone could possibly be manipulated by the Emperor Palpatine against the Senate, against the Republic, and create the Empire. So you can see how that could happen, because this person is a little bit disillusioned about the fact that he cannot mete out what he thinks is the right brand of justice. And there is an arrogance behind that. Not going to deny that, but that's fun to see here in Dooku. And then we go on to the next episode. Episode 3 is called Choices. This is Mace Windu and Dooku. So nice to see T.C. Carson back voicing over Mace Windu. They're investigating Master Katri's death. We hear about this Master Katri was this incredible Jedi, very beloved Jedi. So the death is very shocking, and they're here to kind of investigate and figure out what to do next. We see this back and forth between Dooku and Mace, where Dooku says Mace's devotion to the rules of the Jedi Council are inspiring but also maddening. They go to Raxus Secundus. I hope I'm saying that right, Secundus. They are taking to Senator Laurel. We hear that he went on his own to explore something without his security detail, and Master Katri died. Dooku wants to see where it happened. They take him to where it happened. They suspect that something is up. When they investigate the area, they see that there's no way the ship has no scars on it or no blaster fire on it. But we see that there was obvious blaster fire there that has left a mark on the trees. The senator tries to claim that a number of rebels attacked Katri. Dooku wants the truth, and the senator, feeling like he's cornered, screams out that the guards killed Katri, and then they kill him. Dooku and Mace fight them off until one guard is left. They want to know why they killed Katri, and you find out that the senator was selling off the planet from Coruscant. The Jedi are the lapdogs of the Senate, claim peace, but keep the law in order for the rich and powerful. So we're seeing this idea of Dooku experiencing people on the ground level who are looking at the Jedi in a completely different way, seeing them as the lapdogs of the Senate. That's really powerful. Mace says Katri would have listened if they had expressed their displeasure. The guards had expressed their displeasure at what the senator was doing. Dooku tells the prisoners that his reasons have merit. So that's a little bit of Dooku coming closer to that side of things, of being against the Jedi, being against what's happening there in the Senate. Dooku asks Mace if the Jedi would keep the peace if they continued to take everything the Senate says as law. So even questioning Mace, being like, well, look, your rabid devotion here to the Jedi Council, they're not without flaws. They're not without fault. So in essence, there's a message here just because something says it's good, just because an organization is good, it doesn't mean you should ever stop questioning it, or should ever stop asking more of it, or ever stop exploring how it's meting out its justice, or how it's meting out its order in the world. So that's a really interesting. I love this, more of the exploration of the philosophical conversations. You guys know that's what attracts me to Star Wars. It ain't the ships and the species and all that. It's the philosophical discussions and the stories we get to see. Mace does counter him, though, because he senses Dooku is feeling himself a little bit, and says he counters that they keep their own council, the Jedi do, and they're not guided by ego. And we see that Mace is insinuating that Dooku is a little bit guided by his ego. And we see the burial of Katri. It's a beautiful burial. I love the symbolism of Dooku and Mace on opposite sides of the coffin as it's being lowered. And Dooku is pissed later on that Mace got Katri's seat over him. So there's jealousy here. There's ego here. There's a feeling like, well, why does he get something? Why didn't I get something? Oh, it's because I'm questioning the Jedi. Oh, it's because I'm a rabble rouser, or I rattle cages. That's why they didn't give me the job. And look, that might be 100% true. The Jedi maybe didn't want someone who was questioning them all the time in their council. And certainly from what we know from the Clone Wars and the Jedi Council there, and certainly what we saw with Ahsoka as well, they're not always right. And so that kind of stuff, I think, was really great to explore once again here in this episode. Then we get to the best episode of the bunch, the Sith Lord episode, episode 4. We see Dooku, who is in there. He's accessing in the library. He's accessing some info on Master Sifu Diaz on planet Camino, and that data is deleted. All right, so right from there, I think we sense that Dooku has already gone to the other side. Master Jocasta tells Dooku of Qui-Gon Jinn confronting a Sith Lord. Qui-Gon and Yaddle walk in. So cool to see Yaddle. Dooku questions Qui-Gon, and it is Liam Neeson this time voicing over Qui-Gon. Dooku says he's warned them for years about these situations, that the council has been too cautious. Qui-Gon mentions Obi-Wan, and Dooku says he'd like to meet him someday, which is really cool. So we cut to later that Yaddle is nostalgic for Qui-Gon, that Dooku is looking at an old tree and talks of Qui-Gon being born on Coruscant and loving the tree. So this is clearly after Qui-Gon has died. Yaddle tells him the council is headed to Naboo for his funeral. Yaddle thinks Dooku blames the council, but he lies and says he has to let him go now that he is one with the Force. Dooku takes off, but Yaddle follows him. And when we see where Yaddle has followed Dooku to, we see that Dooku is there reporting to Emperor Palpatine on in some hangar somewhere. Really interesting to see the teeth design in the hangar. The entry is a little like a Jaws, so nice symbolism there of who's going to get eaten in this situation, so to speak, metaphorically. Palpatine, he expresses his anger to Palpatine, Dooku does, that he's gone too far, but killing Qui-Gon, because Qui-Gon was his Padawan. So it's just like, just heartbreaking for him because of what Darth Maul did. Dooku says he's betrayed everyone and everything he knows. Palpatine says he's been loyal to a bigger picture. We see Yaddle come out and confront them. She tries to stop Dooku from going with Palpatine. Palpatine tells him to kill her. She tries to stop him, but Dooku says it is too late. And we have this fantastic fight between both of them, which reminded me of Dooku fighting Yoda later in the prequel trilogy. So that was fun. Yaddle says she stepped down, that he was right about so many things. So giving the credence to Dooku, telling him, yeah, you were right. As I looked at things that the council was doing, I needed to get out of there. I stepped down. I resigned my position. You were right. Let's talk about it. Let's bring you back to the light. Let's figure this out. Dooku is not having it. Eventually, he ends up setting it up so that thing that I was talking about, the Jaws type opening of that hangar, closes on her, but she eventually, with the Force, opens it. He says he wants to bring peace and order, and she says so many have suffered for his order, as she falls out of there. And he says, well, let me give you peace. And he kills her, which is pretty brutal ending to this particular episode. But it's fantastic. And shout out to Bryce Dallas Howard, who voiced over Yaddle in this. But once again, we get this journey that Dooku is on, and we see that he's gone to the dark side already. But even after he's gone to the dark side, after Qui-Gon has been killed, he questions Palpatine. He thinks Palpatine's gone too far. And he just like both sides, revolutions have collateral damage, empires have collateral damage. So whichever side you choose, it's tough. You've got to deal and negotiate with the collateral damage that comes with whatever side you choose. So it's a fascinating philosophical exploration here in this episode. And certainly what Dooku says to Palpatine about going over the line, going too far, and Palpatine saying, You don't understand. There's a bigger picture here. So your personal feelings, your personal connections to people, it shouldn't matter as much. And that's kind of the way that these bigger empires, bigger ruling dictatorships get you to think that the greater good is more important than any of your personal connections to anybody. And in a way, they dehumanize your connections to your friends, your family, or whatever, because they trick you or brainwash you into thinking that that their way is the right way, and if you don't follow their way, you're sacrificing everybody to be hurt and in danger because you don't follow their philosophies or their political bent. So interesting to see this being part of course, and like everything else in Star Wars, you can just deal with it on the surface and it's fine. But there's a lot here to explore symbolism-wise and message-wise in these episodes here. We go to episode 5 now. This is Practice Makes Perfect. This is an awesome episode. It was Anakin walking in, and Ahsoka's training as Mason Obi-Wan. Look on, Anakin asks if she wants a real test, and we have her facing off against the clones. This was so reminiscent of, was it Edge of Tomorrow, the Tom Cruise film with Emily Blunt, when Emily Blunt is training Tom Cruise how to use the armor and the weapons so that he can get in the fight against those alien-like mechanical creatures that are in the movie. So Ahsoka is constantly getting knocked down or shot by the clone troopers, then having to wake back up. And each time, initially it's longer, but each time she wakes up, it's shorter and shorter. She even questions her confidence, questions if she can do it. And Anakin is saying to her, he's training her to get better and stronger and showing because you can do anything you want in a simple test, but to actually be tested, battlefield tested, that's going to matter. And ironically, he's making her a greater fighter that is going to come and play for Ahsoka when she fights him in Rebels, and later when Ahsoka has to fight the clones after the Order 66 has been given, which we saw in season 7 of Clone Wars. So very cool stuff here. Once again, this idea of preparation, this idea of the idea of committing to something, and once you commit to something, how it could come in handy down the road in ways that you probably never even thought about or considered. So I thought this was so fun to explore in this and see. I mean, as someone who is, fallen down and gotten up many times, I so connected with Ahsoka as she was going through this, because the more you do something, the better at it you'll be. And maybe you'll fail a few times, but you'll learn as long as you're learning. And we see that Ahsoka is learning every single time, even when she's frustrated, even when she says she can't do it, even when she's questioning herself. Anakin is the one that says to her, look, it's getting shorter your time. You could do this, you could do that. So he is encouraging her, and even a little bit of tough love as well, because Anakin was kind of tough on Ahsoka at times, and seeing that come through in this situation as well was really cool to see. And then seeing the confidence in Ahsoka's face before she goes out there to face those clones. And I love Rex saying to her, well, that's evil, that training paid off. So that was really cool to see that as well. And then the last episode here, episode 6, Resolve. We open on the death of Padme as Bail and his wife are looking on. Ahsoka is there too. Bail confronts her and says she shouldn't have come. There's nothing she could have done for either of them. So Ahsoka now being put in to this situation with in the prequel trilogies. So many people have said, well, where was Ahsoka? Where was Ahsoka? Well, clearly we see her here. She was there at the burial of Padme, or at the funeral rather for Padme. So interesting to have her be put in there in canon. It's an animated form, but still pretty cool. He helps her escape before the clone troopers can catch her. And then Ahsoka, we see, is working on a kind of farm. This is very reminiscent of Samurai Ronin stuff, right? Working out on a farm by herself, trying to not show anybody what she can do, trying to hide her force powers and her abilities as a Jedi, humbling herself to work on these farms so she can hide out for a little bit before she figures out what to do next. And this is on the farm with a brother and a sister, and we see that immediately the brother is one of those pig-headed dudes who thinks he knows better about a situation and doesn't listen to the woman in his life in the bales that are being put on that mechanical hauler. And eventually the bales do fall over, and as they fall over, they almost kill the sister, but Ahsoka saves her with her force powers, which the sister notices. And then we cut to later, the brother sitting around talking with a bunch of the dudes, talking about the Empire, discussing the Empire, and they're battling over the philosophies. The brother is defending the Empire, saying, hey, look, the trains are running on time. Everything is cool with the Empire. And those rebels, they're the ones causing the problems. They're the ones that, I mean, do I really need to spell it out for you? It's all there. I'm sure at some of your kitchen tables you've had these discussions. I'm sure at Thanksgiving you're going to have these discussions. So it's that political stuff that goes on when people get together. And the sister comes in and implies that they are safe because of the Jedi, she says. So that's a little suspicious. The brother gets suspicious. Later on, the sister and Ahsoka are having a conversation at night. The brother overhears this conversation. Then we get to Ahsoka and the sister writing. So this is very, and this has reminiscent, this is very reminiscent of a Western, seeing a Stagecoach. I'm thinking the John Ford film with John Wayne, seeing them riding together. The sister and Ahsoka take the hay into town. The brother betrays himself, I think, a little bit by saying, "May the Force be with you," yelling it out. We cut to the village being set on fire, and the brother and others are in handcuffs. There's an inquisitor there who is questioning the brother, questioning the other people who are still alive. When the brother says, "We're supposed to get a reward for turning someone in," blah, blah, blah. He goes, "Oh, I've got your reward." And just as he's about to kill the brother, Ahsoka stops him and fights the Inquisitor, who says her name. So does this mean other people know now that Ahsoka Tano is he dialed into some sort of computer base that's just because he said Ahsoka Tano, it's going to trigger some things. So they're going to store that information somewhere and go after her. Bail flies in to save the villagers, and he asks if she's sure she's ready to get back into the fight. And she says yes. And that essentially is probably leading, as I said earlier, to the Rosario Dawson series. So just overall fantastic stuff here. Great allusions, as I mentioned, just in this episode to Western samurai stuff. Seeing it throughout the philosophical debates, philosophical discussions in almost every episode. Seeing this idea that, training can help you in life, being committed to training. You never know how that's going to come in handy in life. And also this idea of communing with nature, loving nature, understanding the power of nature. Even though you may need to take from nature, you take from it in a respectful way. All these themes running through Tales of the Jedi that I really, really enjoyed. And I saw some people complaining about Ahsoka being, I think, gay or something like that. And I didn't catch that when I was watching the episode. So, fuck me for missing that. But it wouldn't bother me either way. I just enjoyed these episodes, enjoyed the progression, enjoyed where the characters were going. The development of Dooku here, I think, was the number one thing I enjoyed about it. As I said, always fun to check in with Ahsoka and see how much of a badass she is. But seeing the Dooku fall, I think, is really fascinating. I almost want to see a live-action series with someone playing a young Christopher Lee as Dooku, going through this journey and falling to the dark side, and what it is about his overdeveloped sense of justice, combined with his ego, combined with his arrogance, combined with his jealousy and envy, is the things that lead him down the path. I think it could be a good lesson for a lot of people in life who have an overdeveloped sense of justice. And I can have that sometimes myself, so I fully put myself in that camp, who can see the dangers of allowing that overdeveloped sense of justice to overtake reason or overtake your sense, and the ramifications and consequences, as we saw with Qui-Gon's death there, that can come about if you follow it or if you follow down that dark path. So just fantastic stuff. Oh, and it was great Seattle. Oh my God, it was great Seattle, and see her fighting and see her having these philosophical conversations. I saw someone point out on Twitter, like, why does Yoda talk so weird and Yaddle is fine? Like, is Yoda just messing with everybody? What is this all about? So I look forward to the day when they can explain that and explore that, because that was a very funny tweet that kind of made me take a step back and analyze this and agree with it too as well. So, all right, well, those were my overall thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know if there was a philosophical discussion that you enjoyed that I didn't mention here, or any of the events from these episodes I didn't quite spend enough time on. Let me know down in the comments section below. What do you think of the animation? What do you think of direction here? Oh, and I should give credit as well to to Kevin Kiner, who did a fantastic job scoring this whole thing from beginning to end. Every single episode had some fantastic score throughout it, and I really enjoyed hearing the themes again. And I also enjoyed where they popped up and where they showed themselves. And shout out to Saul Ruiz. Always good to see a Latino name attached to Star Wars. Saul Ruiz and Nathaniel Villanueva, who directed 5 out of the 6 episodes. Charles Murray doing the other one. And they were written by Filoni, 5 of the episodes, and Charles Murray and Alon Murray wrote a couple of the episodes as well. So just great combination of fantastic talents involved in creating this Tales of the Jedi. And I hope there's more. I hope there's a second season. I would love to see what new stories they could tell. Maybe focus on some of the Rebels side of things. Maybe focus some more filling in the gaps here from the sequel trilogy to the original trilogy, or from the original trilogy to, the prequel trilogy to the original trilogy, from the original trilogy to the sequel trilogies. That could be really exciting. Or even staying in the Rogue One universe could be fascinating to see some animated stuff with them as well. All right, that's it from me. Thank you all so much for watching this spoiler review for Tales of the Jedi. I appreciate it madly. Please remember to subscribe to the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button so you see when we're dropping all the content we do here on the Outlaw Nation channel. Head on over to Twitch, follow me there as well, the Outlaw Nation, all one word, and the Patreon, patreon.com/John Rogan. All right, y'all take care of yourselves, be well, and I'll see you next time with another brand new review video here on the Outlaw Nation.